YouTube world, check it out. I'm gonna do a quick video real quick on this whole the verdict is in, or the whole Karmelo Anthony found guilty verdict. I did a previous video of my last video, check it out. I said from the jump that he had no way of winning. He had no dog in the fight basically. It was, I feel like the case overall was doomed from the start. Just too much stuff stacked up against him. I'm looking at all the outside factors, such as look at the state he's in, Texas. So many different factors. Majority, basically, what I'm hearing that the jury is all white. The defense team seems like they didn't have it all together. It was a weak defense team. So the whole thing from the jump was just all doomed from the start. And then, of course, the obvious evidence and stuff. So a lot of stuff in between that basically that went on in our whole trial. I think overall that, like I said, for both families, it's overall tragedy, and I felt like at the same time it could have been on Karmelo Anthony's, in terms of his shoes, he could have handled it differently. You know what I mean? Without having to go ahead and go after the kid. But what I'm hearing is just, I don't know. It's just so much somebody could take. Who knows what's going on in the mind of somebody sometimes. Nowadays we live in a very high, stressful time. And people, especially a lot of these young kids, they don't know how to really channel their anger or whatever. They don't know how to really properly conflict resolve a situation without having to resort to violence. I think that's one of the main things with this whole thing that people keep forgetting, keep looking at. And unfortunately, the whole race issue, it has some place to do with it, which makes it even more controversial, which I see is also helping divide people right now. But that's a whole nother story for another time. The whole case overall, which is basically, it was messed up from the start. They had no ways of winning. There was no ways of getting over it. It was just basically what a fortunate situation overall that just went left. As far as he served 35 years, I mean, that's a little bit steep. I mean, let's be for real, there's people that done way more and done less time. There's a lot of these cops that's done murdered people and they barely get any time, if that. The most I've seen in my lifetime so far is the cop that killed George Floyd, Derek Chauvin. But other than that, I haven't really seen any real justice like that. It's just a sad, unfortunate situation. It just goes to show that, I personally feel a lot of times, there's so many factors that goes on in a lot of these cases where make or take, give or take, how it goes. A lot of times the defense team, they have to be strong enough to be able to prove. And that's another factor that went on wrong in this whole case, But like I said, they didn't have no way of winning. Nothing basically was gonna happen good out of it, because just with a simple fact, once anything's involved to the point where it's unfortunately turns into murder, that's where it becomes kind of a gray area. Especially, with these type of situations that happen, it's just unfortunate. It goes to show that the conflict resolution overall, it wasn't good. It wasn't good conflict resolution, no kind of conflict resolution skills. But I think And I think that's where, in terms of people, that's where people really failed. I think, and gotta, put a, probably, I don't know, maybe put, some of the blame on the parents. I mean, it's other outside influences, like the music, like everything else, uh, social media, things of that nature, that, the kids tend to just, they want to really just pop off, and, but I feel like sometimes, little blame, gotta put some of the blame on parents, even though the parents can only do so much. But I felt like they probably should have just taught him more better ways of how to properly conflict resolute things. But I had to resort to violence, and that's just the main thing. Hopefully, overall, I don't wish bad. You know what I mean? Hopefully, overall, he just learned from this whole situation, basically, and move on. You may be able to, good behavior, you may be able to get less time. You may be able to get at least like 17, 18 years, give or take how everything goes. So this whole case overall is just messed up. It's a messed up situation. It also still like a gray area when it comes down to so-called self-defense. Some people proclaim that he was self-defense, but that's neither here or there. I'm not really here to judge. Not really here to really judge, you know what I mean? But that's neither here or there. So we have that in terms of this whole case. There's just so many different factors that play out. Just unfortunate, tragic overall situation. It just messed up for both parties, for both families, regardless how anybody see it, And this should be a lesson to all, you know what I'm saying? Basically, I think the overall lesson, a lot of my videos, I try to always drop a gem or a jewel or something, but this one, conflict resolution is always needed. A lot of these young kids nowadays, I understand, they like to go straight for the guns and stuff like that. But even when I was coming up, it was like that, you know what I mean? But nowadays, it seems like it's worse now. And I think people have to go back into learning how to these kids, matter of fact, first of all, they got to be willing to pay attention and learn. That's another thing. They stop listening to a lot of those older cats, it's been around. But that's another topic also for another time. But I think once a lot of them understand, and I think once we need to start trying, at least going back to teaching a lot of these kids, especially a lot of the parents, when they do diligence, they got to start teaching these kids how to basically conflict resolve things without having to resort to violence, no matter what the situation is, and call it a day. There's even me and myself growing up, especially coming from Brooklyn, especially in the city, I've been to plenty of fights and all, and there were certain times where even me and myself had to learn how to I could go ahead and possibly either me or this person going down or whatever amount of people, and we both end up getting jammed up, It's not worth, bail money. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the aggravation. Some things in life you just gotta learn when to just step away from it, especially if it gets to that point when it's volatile, and I think it was just a poor decision made on Karmelo Anthony's behalf in terms of that. But the parents also, they should have just, they should have probably, I think they should have basically did their due diligence and teaching them how to better conflict resolve things, teach their son that, and they failed at that matter in terms of that. And I think a lot of people overall, failed in teaching a lot of these kids and doing that. And I think that's the overall lesson and thing that I see in this whole case. This whole thing should be a lesson to everybody, and not just the youth too, but just everybody in general. But specifically in this case, the youth, because a lot of them is quick-tempered, a lot of them is quick to pop off, a lot of them is really not really, and let's be real, a lot of them don't really know much, and it's just easier to manipulate, especially the youth, because they're very impressionable. They don't know anything. Basically, they're naive, and so they're easy. They don't understand how things should really go. So I think this is just one of them cases where it's just conflict resolution is always needed. You don't always have to resort to violence to necessarily prove your point, or you have a problem with somebody. You gotta think before you react. It's not worth the jail time, not worth the aggravation. It's not worth the bail money, the lawyers, the attorney fees. It's not worth none of it. It's just a complete headache. And I think this whole situation just overall is sad. And a lot of people should take this whole case to heed, because at the end of the day, things happen in life, especially nowadays. I see a lot of these kids get bullied and all kind of stuff, and whatever it may be, whether it's bully, whether it has to do with sports, and things get out of hand, and things get in the heat of the moment, whatever it is. Overall, it's all about conflict resolution, and you get to that, once these kids start learning that, I think for the adults, it's up to a lot of us out there to try to teach them that, and because but it's also the youth. It's up to them to listen too. And the youth out there, I suggest they need to listen to that. Hopefully, a lot of youth and everybody in general overall learn from this whole situation. It also shows a lot of the dynamics of, unfortunately, this being a racially heavy case. It just shows the dynamics between the basic relations between black and white, and just the judicial system, period. And it's just so many ways I could go with it with that one. So that's how I see it. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. A lot of people are basically in a division about it. And it's just a whole lot of stuff going on with this whole thing. And basic conflict resolution is always needed. That's the basic lesson for the most part I see in this video. In this case. And the youth gotta learn how to do a better job to conflict resolve. But it's also up to the adults to make sure that they know that they learn. And hopefully a lot of you take heed, to those that are the adults that are trying to teach them to do better, especially in resolving certain matters and things of that nature. So basically, it's a messed up case overall. But the verdict is in, and that's just what it is with the whole verdict. But let me know what y'all think about the whole Karmelo Anthony case. About him being found guilty. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all think it was fair. Let me know if y'all think they had any way of him even being innocent. Because overall, I thought from the beginning it was going to be a lost cause anyway. And that's just how it is, especially the judicial system. America, it just is what it is. And I don't know. You just have to see what else going on. But hopefully he learns from this himself, comes back out a better person. And that's just the bottom line. That's really it. But like, subscribe, share 82 Brooklyn 7. Like, subscribe, share 82 Brooklyn 7 on YouTube. Let me know what y'all think about the whole Karmelo Anthony found guilty verdict. Definitely like all my food. Like, subscribe, share, subscribe. We need the subscriptions. Much appreciated. Check out all my full videos, old and new, short clips, old and new. Hype up the video. Definitely share it. Let me know what y'all think about this whole thing. And I know I'm Adi5 and peace.